Hi, I'm Brian. Welcome to Autogefuhl and welcome to the brand new Skoda Octavia. Now, it's not a new concept for Skoda to talk about crystalline design, but the idea has evolved and you can really feel that with the new front of the Octavia. It's a lot more angular, aggressive, stylish and dynamic than what went before. To make that work within the design language, a lot has changed. The first thing that really pulls your eye is the way in which the headlights are integrated into this completely new grille. Now, standard for this model, you'll be able to get LED lights on everything. But if you want the optional top of the line, that's going to be full matrix. If you're not familiar with that, that means you can leave your headlights on full and they will automatically work around any oncoming obstruction. So, a nice feature if you can spring for it. Look at the way that the bonnet has been drawn through into this grille with the headlight at the side. Everything about this looks very intentional. But I wonder, does it stay that dynamic when we get round to the side? Let's take a closer look. 4 meters 70 or 185 inches in length. The car is about 2 centimeters longer than its predecessor, so about that if you're a metric guy. And as you can see, that angular design has carried on right the way throughout the side. A couple of particular changes here worth mentioning. One is this much more discrete line of the roof rails. A lot to do with the aerodynamic design of the car. These have been made a lot more flush, and I think that only helps the car's aesthetic overall. These are custom wheels. They come available up to 19 inches now, and as you can see, they work very nicely with this car's angular styling. Look at this character line that runs right through the flank of the car and right down into the headlights. For me, that really helps tie it together. Let's not forget, this is a long car overall. Fascinatingly, even though it uses the exact same chassis or underpinnings as the new Golf, it is significantly larger. Now, a large part of the thinking behind that is to provide you with more car for less money. So, in terms of the design, I'm not seeing any compromise here at all. Round at the back, that angularity continues, and a first for the Octavia. Dynamic indicators. Right from the spoiler at the top, to the large, bold brand statement in the middle, down to the discrete bumper at the bottom. A lot of effort has been put into making this more visually appealing to look at. For me, it's a big improvement on the predecessor. There's a lot more happening here, but nothing is shouting or screaming at you. It's still nice and stylish and relatively understated. 640 litres of load space. Now, if that sounds like a lot, it's because it is. That's 30 more than the predecessor. I'm not quite sure how that's even physically possible, except to say that they really have maximized the use of this platform. So you have all of the practical features that you would standardly expect from any Skoda, but this being the latest one, a little bit more besides. So there's just a little bit more space in places that you wouldn't automatically think of. Once you fold those seats down, you can enjoy up to 1,740 litres of load. Now, if that sounds like it's a little bit less than the predecessor, you'd be right, but there is a good reason for that. I knew there had to be a compromise somewhere. This aerodynamic shape has limited somewhat the amount of available load space in total volume. But don't panic, because the overall length is actually slightly longer. So that means that really you're going to struggle to find something that won't fit back here. Standard Skoda owners will be more than a little bit familiar with all of their simply clever, that's obviously a company buzz phrase, features. So you will be expecting me to pull an umbrella from the door. But look at this. Yeah, okay. It's only people like me who really get excited for this stuff. But now when you buy an Octavia, you get a choice of one of two things. You can either have the umbrella that you all know, or you can get this. This is a snow brush and goes into the side of the door. At launch, there are 3 different trim levels: Active, Ambition, and Style. What you're looking at here is the Style trim level. Now, if you're particularly interested in either the Scout or the RS, don't worry, they're coming, but they won't be here until some point in 2020. Okay, so I'm 5'10" in height, or 178 centimeters. As you can see, it's relatively snug on my top half. Now, I do have a particularly long torso, so if you're wondering for comparison, you can think 6 foot, 6'1". But don't forget, I have a massive panoramic roof here, and that usually costs you about an inch in height. And I have not adjusted this seat at all. And as you can see, it does get lower. So you are going to be pretty comfortable in this car anywhere up to about, I'm guessing, 6'2". One of the challenges of shooting display cars is that they have a very strange approach to how the power works with the system, because they're set for display and not standard use. So I'm showing you this as quickly as I can before the system automatically shuts down. What you're looking at here are 2 10-inch screens, and that is the top level of the infotainment system. If you're still an analog guy, I'm happy to be able to tell you that unlike the Golf, you can still get the entrance level model with analog dials. So don't panic, it's not all 100% digital yet. But if you are a big fan of digital, then this system is going to work very nicely with another new feature here, and that is this brand new steering wheels. Well, the front's very swish and modern, but how about the back? Well, this may be one of the most surprising rears of any car this year. Why? Because the back of this car now offers an unbelievably large additional 8 centimeters or 3 inches of legroom. Wow is about all you can say about that. We've already seen that the boot didn't compromise itself in terms of space. It's bigger. And look at this. Now, okay, I have rather disappointingly short legs, but even if you have Thomas-like limbs, look at the amount of room that you have back here. You wouldn't expect the new Octavia to launch without a myriad range of different options available in the engine compartment. And don't worry, you won't be disappointed. What you're looking at right here is the 2-litre TDI, and that's producing 150 horsepower. But if you want different flavour in diesel, it can come as 115 horsepower or a 200 horsepower version. Now, if petrol's more your thing, you can either get a 1-litre 3-cylinder petrol producing 110 horsepower, a 1.5-litre 4-cylinder petrol producing 150 horsepower, or a 2-litre 190 horsepower all-wheel drive with a 7-speed DSG. Now, both of those smaller petrol engines come standardly as manual gearboxes, but if you want them with a 7-speed DSG, then you will be getting them as mild hybrids. But don't worry, if electric's your thing, you can also go with a plug-in hybrid. That's a 1.4-litre engine producing a system output of either 204 or 245 horsepower. That's twinned with a 6-speed DSG. But we are not all done there. There's also a 1.5-litre TSI CNG engine, and that produces 130 horsepower. Sadly, we only have the time to bring you the very briefest of looks at the sedan, but you may remember me mentioning right at the start, this is the more aerodynamic of the two cars. So, obviously, this roofline is particularly sweeping. And where is that going to hurt us? That's what I want to know. So, let's take a very quick seat in the back. While I'm doing that, what I can tell you is, if you're frightened about having lost luggage space in the back, don't be. You now still have 600 litres of load room, which is 10 more than the predecessor. That same massive increase in knee space down here. And I have to tell you, swooping roofline aside, you still have a very pleasant amount of room for your head. I'm 5'10", 178 centimetres, and I would say that back here, you're still going to be comfortable anywhere up to about 6'1". So if you're looking at this as a business sedan, I think you're going to be very pleased indeed. Well, that about does it for our very brief behind-the-scenes look at the new Octavia. So what do we think? Well, as far as the visual aesthetic and the new modern approach to the design, I have to say, I'm almost blown away. Why? Because I really love that at the core of this design, efficiency was everything. So managing to pack so much into the design detail, so much of this angularity, so much of the new styling that really makes this car genuinely distinct, but still a family member. You can still see and recognize all the bits that you really like from the recent superb redesign. That's really impressive. The interior? Well, I think we're going to split some opinions here. It's not going to be everybody's taste to start with, but don't forget, anytime you change anything, at least half of the customers say, I don't like it, I prefer the old one. So give yourself a little time to adjust. I really think you're going to love all of the new technology that's featured on this car, and especially the way it interacts. I have to tell you, I am an absolute sucker for the Octavia Scout. I love it. When I read that this was going to be slightly bigger, well, I was a little bit concerned. I mean, ultimately, it is still the same platform the Golf's built on. So if you're going to use that platform but make the car bigger, will there be any compromises in driving dynamic? Well, we're obviously going to have to wait a little bit longer to find that one out. But in the meantime, pricing should be around about where the predecessor was, probably a little bit more, but not so much that it should frighten you off. What I really like best about this car overall is just how much quality has been packed into this package. I have to admit, I'm a big Octavia fan. I'm not alone in that. So are many other people around the world. And in terms of making them happy, I think Skoda have done a really good job. But tell me, what do you think? Put any comments and questions below. Please subscribe, and we hope we'll see you all again soon.